I will be refuting some of their recent claims. My opponents mention how innocent executions are a rarity. They say that the court system is usually right in providing an inmate innocent or guilty, but that's exactly the point that I'm making. And saying that they're usually right leaves room for them to be wrong. Whether it's 1% of the time or not, death row should be abolished so that if another instance occurs where they find someone innocent who would be on death row, they can simply dismiss them back into society. He mentioned 18 deaths since 1973. Well, I'd say 18 deaths too many. They also mention how the death penalty prevents people from committing crimes. But I beg to differ. There's a study, Dr. Jonathan Groner, an associate professor of surgery at Ohio State University College of Medicine and Public Health, researched the deterrent effect of capital punishment and stated, and I quote, the psychological mindset of a criminal is such that they are not able to consider consequences at the same time of the crime. Most crimes are crimes of passion that are done in situations involving intense excitement. He states that deterrence may work in instances where the punishment is obvious and immediate, neither of which are true for the death penalty. Dr. Groner explains how generally murder and crime rates are most closely related with the socio-economic health of the country, and states that the murder and crime rate in the U.S. was at its highest during the Depression era. He explains how if a harsh crime is not associated with the economy, that it is related to mental health problems, which implies that a better healthcare system and improvement in the economy would result in less crime, not the implementation of the death penalty. They also mentioned an eye for an eye. If someone takes a life, then their life should be taken. This is immoral, and based on their logic of the statement, then someone should take the life of the executioner who flips the switch on the electric chair or injects the lethal injection because they have committed murder themselves. In that logic, in that retrospect, the definition of the death penalty is perverse in terms of what we're used to in society. Generally, an individual doesn't go around the public and randomly kill someone else because they believe that they did something bad. The death penalty is exactly that. The executioner doesn't know for sure if the person he is about to kill is guilty or not. Because but because he was ordered to do so, he will commit a murder. This, in my eyes, is the same as if I saw someone commit a crime and I asked my friend to kill him because he's a bad person. In this example, my friend doesn't have the right to kill him, the same way the executioners don't have the right to kill anybody. And my opponents also say that the death penalty is not biased towards race and minorities, but in fact it is. The days of racial bias in the death penalty are not remnant to the past, but are still here. Two leading statisticians named David Baldus and George Woodworth conducted a study where they took case by case and matched them by the severity of the crime, and concluded that African Americans have nearly 4 times more of a chance of getting sentenced to death row than white Americans. David and George suggest that one might discriminate against someone who is not of their race, because in the United States, where the death penalty is implemented, 97% of district attorneys are white males, and only 2% are Hispanic or African Americans. Finally, my opponents claim that the number of executions in the death penalty practice has a big effect on murder rates, but in fact it doesn't. A census report according to the Death Penalty Information Center states that the murder rate has been higher every single year in states that carry the death penalty as opposed to states who don't exercise the death penalty since 1990. The gap has grown from 4% in 1990 to 42% in 2007.